All right, everybody, good afternoon. This is the Grounds Committee of the Nepenthe Homeowners Association. It's Thursday, October 17th, just a little bit after 3 o'clock. There's nobody on Zoom. Okay. So, all right. So, and if anybody has trouble hearing us, please say so. We'll make sure to speak up a little louder. My name is Peter Lewicki. I'm very recently elected to serve as your member at large on the board. I'm really happy to be here and also been asked to be the liaison to this committee. With us here today are Mary Gray and Paula Connors, who have been on the committee for some time. I see that we have some folks who are not here today. Hopefully, maybe they're just running late. If not, we will look forward to seeing them next month. I guess kind of the first order of business I wanted to do, I know that Jim Shaw and Teresa McCracken both devoted a lot of their time and energy to this committee. And I wanted to recognize both of them and thank them for their time and service. I'm sad that we will not get to work with them since they have voluntarily stepped down. But as I hope they know, if they ever were to want to rejoin our committee, we would welcome them. I guess we don't really have a formal agenda today. So Nicole, if you feel like I'm stepping out of my lane, feel free to let me know. But really, we intended today's meeting to be more of a meet and greet and just to kind of discuss what direction this committee is going to be taking, and probably with some considerable changes of direction from the board as to how this committee functions, the kinds of things that we're going to be doing, the kind of oversight that we're going to be having, and our relationships with our vendors and with, of course, the homeowners, and to make sure that requests are being assessed and addressed as quickly as we can. I think the elephant in the room here, as we all saw, and if you haven't seen, please check your emails. There's been a considerable increase in our insurance premiums. That doesn't necessarily relate directly to grounds. However, the costs and the financial impacts of having farmers cancel our policy and for us to have to go out and purchase a significantly more expensive policy is going to require some considerable changes in process with how we approve landscaping and other projects. So I do want to put that out there. I don't want that to be a surprise to anybody if perhaps there's some delays in dealing with homeowner requests. It's not intentional. We're not ignoring them, but we do have to be very fiscally prudent in this, particularly this upcoming year, given the significant, unforeseeable, and really shocking increases in our insurance premiums. But with that said, I want to let Mary and Paula introduce themselves and kind of share their perspectives on what they see this committee looking like going forward.
Okay, well, hi, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your days to join us. And as Peter said, we don't have an agenda. We will in the future. This is a transitional meeting. I think one of the key things that we've talked about is how to make sure we address homeowner requests. I mean, that's vital and very important. And one way we discussed it, Nicole, and she can talk about it if she wants, has a really good spreadsheet with all the requests, information gathered, how they're addressed. So there is a really good record keeping. So if you feel that anybody in the room has a request in, you feel like it hasn't been addressed, Nicole can tell you exactly where it is in the process. Generally, what we've done in the past, and that may change in the future, I think it probably will change in the future, is someone from this committee, that will stay the same, will go out and look. So say you have, you want a new plant or whatever it is that you want. You submit the request to Nicole, she puts it out to the committee. Someone from the committee will go look. Hopefully, usually when I do that, or Paula does that, we try to talk to the homeowner, make sure that whatever the plant is or where you want it, or we understand what you want. And then we bring it back to the committee, get committee agreement that we need to move ahead with that. And then we try and take care of that as fast as possible. As Peter said, the catch for us for right now is money. So we on this committee, and I don't know if Peter or anybody knows, how much money do we have to take care of you guys? I don't know. And we probably just, and Peter can actually say probably more definitively than me. Probably not until after the budget's done will we know what's available. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't submit your requests. That doesn't mean that we aren't tracking them. That doesn't mean that we aren't going out and talking to all of you and getting ready for when we do have money to take care of whatever your requests are. Here.
Hi, I'm Paula. Is this on?
There you go.
Okay. Hi, I'm Paula, and I have just joined the grounds committee. And so my experience is pretty limited. I do have a few things that I'd like to suggest, maybe for consideration for our committee to be talking about in the next year. You know, there are things that a lot of people have talked about already. You know, we talk about accountability, you know, with the vendors, et cetera. But I think that works two ways. And I think Mary alluded to that, you know, our committee has a accountability to the homeowners. And I would really like to work on building communication for the homeowners when they turn in requests. I keep hearing that people didn't hear anything. They don't know where it is. It's like a black box. Things get dropped. So I just really think that we need to kind of work on some sort of communication system, and I'd be certainly happy to do that. But definitely I would suggest that we have some sort of email communication as soon as somebody submits something. If we know that something's happening, they're notified or maybe even consulted. Because some of these have been going on for months and months and months, and it's just very, very frustrating for them. Let me see, what else do I have here? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully we can talk about process and tracking and what happens kind of physically as things come to the grounds committee. I've been noticing in the board packets, many of the work orders say forwarded to grounds committee. And I'm like, well, who did it go to? Physically, where does it go? And, you know, things just never drifted down to this level. Yeah, so I mean, that's something I'm really hoping we can get more clarity on. Let me see here, what else? Oh, one of the other issues I'm hoping we can talk about in the future is that, and I think because I'm in zone 4 or was assigned to zone 4, most of the things that I've been seeing have been requests to fix or correct things that happened during the remediation after the siding project. And I realize it hasn't drifted down into the other zones yet because the siding has just really only been kind of progressing in one area. So I guess I'm just not sure why these were coming to the grounds committee, and maybe they should have been rectified under the remediation budget, or maybe we're going to change that and make it all one big bucket now. I don't know, but I feel like we're doing remediation of remediation. And so just, you know, to make sure that, you know, the landscape stuff, like what Mary was mentioning, things that needed, you know, somebody wants a bush, that's different than correcting a problem that has occurred. And I'm concerned that we're paying twice for some things, frankly. Kind of on a positive note, AB 1572, we had a speaker come in August from Carson, and he provided information and his perspective on what's happening with that. And I really want to encourage us to open communication with the city, Water Conservation Department, who are the implementers of this program. And I've had a conversation with the gentleman that's in charge of that, and he would be very happy to come and address a homeowners forum. He talks to HOAs. He, you know, he's, you know, they're not jumping on it because they have some time to do it and they have some other projects going on. But definitely, I feel there's an openness there. And there's nothing, I mean, as much information as we can get and educate ourselves would be in our own best interests. I just don't see that as an alienating activity. Oh, I also wanted to mention, I hope I'm not piling on here, but these are just my observations. In the interest of communicating with the homeowners, I really would like to recommend that we post our agendas and attachments, including the reports, online, just as when they come out.
Yes.
I've been attending many grounds committee meetings and you sit here and you have no idea what people are talking about, even when it's projected onto the screen. And I think it would be helpful because people would see that their addresses were included, and they may have comments and they may want to provide input and information that we don't have. So I think that would be very helpful. Let me see what else. Yeah. And oh, yeah, I'm happy to, you know, I think we could get a good process going where it would be very automatic. I mean, we're sending it out anyway, you know, just like we can put it on the agenda. Also putting the minutes on. I know that the minutes are included in the board packets, but they are not on the ground in a systematic way. They are not on the grounds committee website. And I think that would be very, very helpful.
And just so you know, all of the committee minutes are actually going to end up on the new website. I haven't been putting them on the old website because I'm ultimately going to have to take them off just to put them on the new website. And so there's going to be a section for each of the committees, and they're going to, all their minutes and packets and stuff are going to be available in their own sections. There's going to be a whole document library now per committee and stuff. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. So to get back to the budget question, I guess I'm hearing from you, Peter, that we're going to just kind of not do anything until after the budget is done, perhaps. But I will say that there were about 7 things that the committee approved in concept at the September meeting. And the old process was that it would be sent to Carson, or Carson was here, so I guess I took notes, and prepare a cost proposal. So my question is, has Carson provided the cost proposals from the last meeting? Do we know that?
No, they have not.
Okay, so normally they would have come in and been distributed, and we would have talked about them and voted to recommend to send it to the board. And again, that process might change, but you've got about 5 or 6 homeowners are sitting in the lurch, and they are just like so close. So I'm really hoping that the board would be open to certain exceptions, especially for people that submitted requests not last month, but like 6 months ago. And they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. So that would be my.
I appreciate that. And I think that makes a lot of sense that the board should take the consideration of the projects that have already come through this committee, taking advantage of the work and I guess, investigation and just learning about the projects. Obviously, we can't make a decision until Carson has provided a proposal. I know that we do not have somebody from Carson here today. Am I correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. I understand in the past that a representative from Carson is typically at these meetings. I think it's useful and beneficial to have them here. I hope that they will rejoin us. But yes, we should follow up on those requests because we do not want to see homeowner requests that have already been vetted be for any further delayed. I think that's a great
I
point.
will follow up with Carson regarding those that were already approved.
Thank you. Peter, just so
Thanks,
you know, I
Nicole.
mean, usually Carson is invited, and they usually in the past don't stay for the whole meeting. They are invited to address specific issues like contracts or things that come in, and then they're gone, and then it's our committee. So I agree but today we didn't have anything for them. So.
And I think, and this has been brought up a couple times, the remediation project. This is maybe me just speaking about my philosophy and my question about how this committee functions. I've never understood why remediation, to the extent that it involved any changes to our landscape. I don't understand why those were not brought before this committee's purview. I will certainly be recommending and working toward, and I think this committee would benefit from having those projects under our at least guidance to the board. I think that would be helpful, particularly to avoid the problems that I've heard about from numerous people, that things were torn out. There was not maybe the best of communication. And then the question becoming, why does it need to be done again? Why do you have to cut the same bushes out twice and replace them twice? I hope that process can be improved.
Well, on that note, Peter, I so agree with you. It'd be helpful for somebody from the grounds committee to do the remediation walk. And I'm curious, who monitors the contracts for all this work to ensure that we're getting what we paid for? Does anybody today do that? Does anybody know?
So I do a little bit. I try to do as much as I can. My job encompasses a lot, so I don't have as much oversight of them as I'd like. But I do, when things aren't going the way they should be, I still pick up on those. And so, but the bigger projects, we might need some more oversight on.
Yeah, because plant selection, where things go, all of that sort of thing matters to homeowners and yeah. So thank you.
Even though we don't have an official agenda item, it's always been even though we don't have an official agenda item, I know it's always been the practice of our committees and in our board meetings to welcome homeowner comments. And I would love to invite each and every one of you to get up and ask us questions, provide some comments, some direction, what you would like to see. I would welcome anybody to get up and join us. Please do. Just raise your hands and we'll call you up. Yes.
Is there a green or red light? Press the button.
It's
if there's a red
upside
light.
down, right?
Press the button. And then just pull it up towards your face. There you go. Thank you, sir.
I'm William Newbill, 304 in Dunbarton. I've been here since 1975. I've owned 3 of the condos. In December last year, I was notified that the patio in my yard had been inspected. I never got a copy of an inspection nor a picture. At that time, I went out and had Parson, their subsidiary, come over and bid the pruning of the tree. Tree need to be topped. $600. They told me that they would take care of it the minute that the weather was such that they could do that. Okay, that was December. December, January, February, March, April. Rained at least once a week, every week. They wouldn't come over. Then the contractor shows up and takes 8 panels off the patio. So they can't do that tree at the time. When they finish that, the fencing contractor shows up also. So we put a new fence up. That's another 2 weeks. Now there's 8 weeks have gone by there. The following morning after the contractor left for the fence, the tree was done. In the interim, I got fined for $100. This you guys don't follow up on the paperwork. Moreover, if you're going to inspect a property, you need to give a picture, definition of what the property is, and a copy of the inspection. That follows procedure.
Why were you
Nobody followed
fined?
procedure.
Why were you fined?
I'm sorry,
Why were you fined?
because I didn't show up at one of the meetings.
No, but fined for what?
I didn't
was
show
the
up at the meeting.
What was the violation? Tree trimming?
You had a meeting. I didn't show up at the meeting.
No, I know I wasn't here at that time, so I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about.
You charged me $100.
Okay, for tree trimming?
No, for not showing up to the meeting.
That's
don't
not a thing. We don't charge you for not showing up to the meeting.
And
It
you
has
go
to be-
tell your contractor person over here that charged me $100.
It's okay.
Who sent the notice and who sent it to you?
I'd have to.
The association did,
Really?
and it was included on my monthly tab. I got a copy. I didn't bring the file. I wasn't going to talk about this tonight.
I'll
Okay.
look into it.
Yeah,
I'll look into it.
we can follow up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, that's outrageous.
But just so you know, for my patio inspections and stuff that I've conducting now with Paul Reeves, when we have issues that need to be addressed on the patio, every homeowner gets an email from me with the picture and the description of exactly what the issue is. And if there's some sort of delay, there's been homeowners where they've had to take out trees and things like that. We work with the timelines that are given to you.
Well, this wasn't about taking out a tree. It was pruning. There was no branches touching the building. There was some no limbs touching the building. There were some branches from the limbs that were new, that were touching the garage, only the garage. It's 16 feet from the house, the tree. So it's not even touching the house. My position on it is a little follow-up on the part of the board would have been, if it's raining, you're not going to be cutting trees. You can't put ladders in the ground that stay in the ground. They move. And you can't have employees come out there, they're going to get hurt. They won't do it. Carson will not do that. So I have to follow their procedure also. But nobody, I mean, nobody followed up. None.
Oh,
If you're going to make a recommendation, you need to give the recommendation, my opinion, and I've also signed up for the board, by the way. You need to give the owner, whoever it is, a copy of your picture with a definition of what your problem is with the backyard. Okay, then move forward. Give them 30 days, look at it, 90 days, whatever it takes to get done. If it's raining and stuff, it's clear you can't do some of these things. It's just not possible. We're coming up to winter again, and I see we're looking at Elmhurst. By the way, has Dunbarton all been taken care of now? All of the patios have been looked at? They have. You got 21. I went around all of them. You got 21 violations on the fences alone. Trees leaning against fences. You got 2 houses down here in Dunbarton with the trees growing up against the house. And you said it's done? I don't think so.
who has the list of 21 houses?
I did.
Oh, are you going to give it to us?
When I got fined, I wanted to know why I was picked out.
Yeah, understandable.
Okay, there was no one else. I'm looking around. There's one of the fellows here knows me well enough to know that. I went around, looked at all the houses and said, well, why me?
Right,
Okay, selective enforcement against the law, by the way.
it
Okay.
is.
So I went down to the end of the street, started there, walked around, got out of the car. 21 violations I could find. I didn't go through all the complexes. That was nuts. I didn't go through people's backyards either. I'm talking about standing outside. Nobody did anything. And you still have these houses with trees leaning against them and growth on the side of the houses. You also have, Carson's missed a couple of trees back there that have branches that are sitting on second driveway, branches sitting right on top of the house.
Yeah, that's not, so, I mean, if you were willing, it would be helpful to have the list because I'm not as.
Not my job, it's your
No,
job.
I just said if you happen to have it, I'm not saying
Well,
it's your job.
Start
And
down
I-
at the other end and go all the way on every one of the
I
houses.
know, I live
Fine.
there. I can do that.
And I do my best to not be selective. To me, every violation is treated the same. I don't care who lives in the home. To me, it's the violation of what I can see, and I do my best to catch what I can.
That was if my place was picked out among the others.
I don't have that in front of me, so I don't know, but I'm happy to look. I already put a note that I'm going to look into this, and you and I will talk.
It's at the end of the driveway
Okay.
and in the middle of the complex. How's it that one?
Again, I don't know. My
Right,
notes are not
yeah.
in front of me, but I promise you, and on this recording and all these people in front of me, that I will address it personally with you.
Okay, I've served on the board of directors here 20 years ago. I served on the Insurance Advisory Committee and it's a mess. They didn't do what they were supposed to. You're not the insurance committee. I'm telling you, you don't have the money. If your insurance went from $202,000 to $650,000, you're going to have to take everybody in the association and have a one-time charge, even just to get away with it. You're not going to be able to do it unless you borrow from yourself or borrow from a bank. Nobody's taking the time to work it.
So can I just summarize your concern? So you,
Skip the insurance. That's just.
no, I'm skipping the insurance. Yeah, I understand that. So right now your tree is trimmed.
Oh, it's all done.
It's all done. you were fined $100 because you didn't trim it in time? Was,
Oh, I didn't come to a meeting. Somebody had a meeting.
no, we don't find,
Okay.
I mean, but I get it. Okay, so that needs to be whatever. And that you have looked on Dunbarton and there are at least 21 houses that are still a concern. Okay. I really appreciate that, actually. I mean, it's
I
good to
didn't-
know.
I didn't come here to complain. Came here to tell you that I've volunteered for your committee for that reason.
Okay, thank you.
Peter, I want to thank you for your willingness to be on the board of directors and also to provide liaison for this committee. I know those sorts of things are very time consuming. They're time consuming for the other members of this committee, and it's very much appreciated. I wanted to just briefly talk about fire safety in our community. Although there's not a hard and fast regulation regarding distance of tree limbs to the top of chimneys. Excuse me. Autumn is my worst allergy season. Nevertheless, there's CAL FIRE recommends a 10-foot clearance between the tip of a tree branch and the top of a chimney. I'm a new resident here. I moved in at the end of April. And in my walks around the community, I've noticed that there are a number of houses that have tree limbs closer than 10 feet from the top of the chimney. In late July, early August, I walked every pathway and every alleyway in Nepenthe, and I wrote down a list according to zone of tree limb situations that I thought the committee should address. And hopefully they've taken a look at that by now. I thought maybe it would be addressed today. I didn't realize that this was going to be a different type of meeting today. But this is a high density community with wooden structures, as all of us well know. And if a fire gets started, it can sweep through very quickly. And in fact, when I was preparing to move here, when the home was still in escrow, it was a bit of a job to find an insurance company that would write a new policy, because a lot of them have left California. And what I was told by some of these companies that I spoke with was that California has the most onerous insolvency regulations in the country. And and so a lot of them have chosen to just stop writing policies on PUDs and condominiums. That's my understanding from talking with them. And if we were to have a fire in this community, we would, I mean, we've already lost, who was it, farmers, because, and it might be hard to get anybody to write a policy. It's one type of fire safety measure that is so easy to do. Yes, it costs some money, but the branches that I've seen are not huge. Most of them have circumferences that are about like that. And so I know that we have a separate steward for each zone in the Nepenthe area. And hopefully they can take a look and assess and decide, yes, is that really within 10 feet or not? There were, I believe, 4 situations where the offending tree was inside the residence patio. So my understanding is that that would be a homeowner requirement. And I don't know what the procedure is. I'm so new to this area, but hopefully a courtesy notice could be sent to them or something or other so that they could get the tree trimmed on their own as their responsibility.
Are you the resident that provided the list last grounds meeting? the last grounds meeting? Were you the resident that provided that list?
Right.
So I can actually give you an update on that. So I talked to Paul yesterday or the day before. I'm getting my days mixed up, but I talked to him this week. And he said he's going through that list right now. And so he'll be able to hopefully provide us all of that report next grounds meeting. So he is going through it. And then the 4 that you had on there that were patio, I went out to address and followed up accordingly, whether that be violations, email the owner. So I addressed those separately.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I remember those. We took those seriously.
Good, because it's one of those tasks that doesn't make the area look any prettier, but it sure helps to keep us from having a disastrous fire. So thanks to all
Yeah,
of you.
thank you for doing that. That's, certainly something we need to be taking close watch on. Thanks again.
We're not going to talk about insurance much, but I'm an insurance broker and have been for 50 years. I own McClatchy Insurance, so everybody knows that, or at least most people know that. What she's talking about is some 22 companies have left California. They're using drones today and they're going over anything that's a shingle roof they won't write at all. They're going over the properties, farmers being one of them. And they're looking at vegetation. They're looking at how close limbs are, how close big trees are, redwoods and all. It's not so surprised we can even get coverage here at sometimes. You're limited here in Campus Commons that I have seen to just 7 carriers. There's some 30 in California, but not here. Part of it is fire. Part of it's politics. I don't want to get into politics, but that's part of the biggest mess. There's a pool for the insurance, except it's bankrupt. Hasn't been funded by the government. So it's really a mess. So anyone who has property where there's trees touching the building or that overlap the building should really pay attention, because their insurance can be canceled in California after 2 weeks up to 2 months in force. They can cancel on an inspection. So really, it's important that you do take the time to do that. And it does rest on your committee. It does rest on the insurance too. But in this case, you're kind of stuck together on this. I tried to explain that to the last meeting. Nobody wanted to listen until they got the coverage this month. And I don't know what you're going to do about it. It's just, except deal with the landscaping, very important. Some people, like she said, had trouble getting coverage. That's not a surprise. What it is. Anyway.
Even USAA, which takes such good care of their veterans and veteran families, would not insure. for a
That's
condo or
correct.
PUD. We
You
were
know that
really
too.
surprised. Actually, I'm insured by them. Yeah, they're not writing new policies.
USA will not write any policy. Right?
Okay.
I'm Nancy Cochran. I live at 1427 Commons. I'm actually here to talk about the strip of property that runs from in front of my house all the way past my neighbors who are Bill and Anna Haldeman. They are here today and they live at 1423 Commons. But first of all, I appreciate this committee very much and the involvement that we've had, especially with Paula. I know Mary, Peter, thank you for stepping in and helping out. And Nicole, I really appreciate you being part of this new team that's working on trying to make things move forward. One of the things that I wanted to address was that Bill and Anna, in front of their home on the left-hand side of their front walkway, is an area that has been overrun by 2 different kinds of ground cover and has currently, and they have been there now for, I don't know, months, years, weeds that are growing up through the ivy. There's been dead ivy that's just been there. And that's what people that come to visit them see when they come to their home. When they walk up their front, there are weeds and dead ground cover. So They put in a service request. I appreciate Nicole's taking a laboring oar on this one, as well as Paula. Both of you came out to look at that situation. And I know, Nicole, you created a work order for that to be addressed. I realized that that work order was created on September 26th. As of yesterday, that was the first time anything has been done there. Yesterday was October 16th. The work order was created on the 26th. I'm just assuming that that work order was created and given over to the company that was to do the work. As of yesterday, there are 2 white flags, which I presume are irrigation flags. The dead ground cover has been trimmed back, so now it's just dirt. And the weed patch is still present. So I'm not sure, speaking on behalf of what it looks like in front of 3 of our homes, my home, the new folks, it used to be Steve Huffman's house, and then Bill and Anna's home. It's atrocious. It's horrible. Paula's been there to see it. Mary's been there to see it. I know, Nicole, you have seen it. It is an embarrassment to this association that is what we present. That's what we put forth for people to look at. And I know that Bill and Anna have made requests for work to be done in front of their home at least as far back as 2013. Probably further. Anna has copies of requests made for something to be done in front of their home since 2013. And now it is 2024, and they have lived with it for year after year after year. And they make the requests. I don't know what's happened to them. They don't know what's happened to them. There has been a little bit of finagling in the bushes a little bit, but nothing has been done on an overall scheme. Now we find ourselves faced with huge insurance premium payments. We have upheaval in our committees and in our board. The money's been running out one end, and I know there's not a lot of money coming in at the other end. But I do know that people who were on the landscaping committee, and I know, Paula, you have that date, I believe it was at least 2019. At that point in time, there was an agreement by the committee and I believe by the board to replant in front of my home, in front of Steve Huffman's home, and in front of the Haldemans. The work was done in front of my home, 1427. The work was done in front of Steve Huffman's home at 1425. And then the Haldemans were told, we're going to have to wait on your part.
Nancy,
We'll come back to you.
when was the work done I can't remember, was it 2 years ago?
I think it was in front of my home and Steve Huffman's.
Yeah.
It was at least 2019, maybe 20. I'm
Really?
not sure.
Oh, something does need to be done. I mean, there's no question. I was also concerned, and I don't know if it's a concern for you guys, but somebody put rocks down at the end of that kind of cul-de-sac area, and then it's unsafe to go from your garage to your gate if you're carrying anything or walking or anything. And so I don't know who thought it was okay to put those rocks there either. I mean, so there's more than, in my mind, there's beautification, I think, is important, but also just safety
Right.
seems to be an issue.
And I think that is something that's being looked at and addressed, that particular rock area, so that the Haldemans can pull their little cart arounds when they do their landscaping inside their patio because they don't have a connection. But I want to bring this to your attention. The Haldeman's have created a packet which has been turned into the office, and they have requested that it be put on the board agenda for the board to review their request. And that's a request not just for the weeds to be pulled, but it is a request for the entire front of their home to be evaluated and addressed for renewable landscaping. And this has absolutely nothing to do with the remediation project with the siding. It has nothing to do with that. But Peter, as you said, there have been projects that have already been vetted. And shouldn't those projects be moved forward since they've already been vetted? Well, I submit to you that that project in front of the Haldemans was vetted at least 2019 or 2020. I don't have the date in front of me. I know that it's in the packet that the Haldemans submitted, and I know that Paula, you have that date as well. So that project was vetted, it was dropped, and it's been ignored. And it's not right. It's not right, and it's not fair with everything else that's been going on. They should have the opportunity to have the front of their home look as beautiful as the front of everyone else's home, especially when it was part of a continuum package project that for some reason their part got pulled out. So.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Can I just provide a little bit of clarification? I just kind of got introduced to the Haldemans, back in like late September. And they had submitted a homeowner's request. And I also learned about, it's taken a while to get my head around and get anyone's arms around what happened in the past, especially anything before 2020. And unfortunately, there's no written record. I do have copies of requests that the Haldemans did submit starting in 2013, 2019, 2023. The most recent one we encouraged them to submit was for not only the common area to the left of their walkway that's had scraggly ivy, which I thought was more of a maintenance issue than a grounds committee issue. And I asked Nicole to come out, and she did. And she's initiated a work order to Carson. And I'm not sure, I haven't been out to see it, so I haven't seen the progress on that. But
They're still
that's
in the
one-
process.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's one component. The other component is the front of their property that fronts Commons. And I suggested that they submit a completely separate work order for that so that it doesn't get mixed up with the maintenance issue, and submit their prior homeowners requests and any information that they had. And so and this is a perfect example of an exception to things being tabled. They've been waiting for a long time, and it's my understanding, and I really believe that they were part of some sort of a list at the grounds committee level, and no one knows what happened. But I think it's time for us to kind of pay attention, but to pay attention to this and move it forward. So I'm hoping we can do that.
I completely agree. Mr. and Mrs. Haldeman, what's your address? I'd like to.
1423.
14.
And just so you know, and I went with Paula, and I agree. It needs some love over there. And I'm sorry that you guys have not been getting the attention over there that I think you deserve. And so as to Paula's point, I did place a work order to not only address the irrigation issue, because it's clear there's an irrigation issue because the ivy's dying. There's weeds in the ivies. It's so tall. I don't know how you miss it. And then to put it all the way to the border too, because you've got about this much of a space where the ivy starts and the concrete starts, where it's just dirt, and then people walk by it. So they've been instructed to plant more in there already. It's not going to the grounds committee because it's something that should already be there. And then in addition, there was a plant that was removed on the side of their garage as well, that was never replanted. And so it was just a hole of standing water. And that there's a work order now as well for them to replace that plant. So there's not a hole of standing water. We're also working on the safety issue with the rocks. I'm empathetic to that. In addition to, I know, the driveway issue as well. So I really want you guys to rest assured that I'm taking it seriously and I won't let it drop through the cracks. And I'm sorry that it's taken so long.
Just curious, because we've all been out there.
Yeah.
Part of it goes back to what Paula was talking about. Part of it is a result of how the remediation, all those plants are pulled out. I saw that one missing with a big pool of water.
Yeah.
That was, we shouldn't pay for that
No.
again, and then also those rocks were put down there. Those rocks should not ever have been put down. It's a safety hazard, and so that's, I think, part of the reason I brought up who's keeping track of what's going on, right? So, and I know that there's a transition point. All I'm saying is we need a process.
I agree.
So that issues like your home don't happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, just quick, another invite to anybody who wants to get up and ask any questions. Looks like everybody is. I don't see any hands up, but thanks to everybody for being here today. We appreciate it. There's a lot of work to be done. We're excited to do it. We're excited to be a more accessible committee. We're here to listen, and we only know what you want and what you expect when you bring those issues to us, and we're going to try to do it effectively and in a cost-effective way too.
Okay. Do we want to talk about processes? No?
Sure.
The only thing I want, to clarify is I want to make sure that no work orders get stuck in the black hole again. I'm a huge process person. And so once it's in place and we can implement it. We have service requests currently that need zone review. I know we're down a few stewards. So my initial thought process is to send any service requests that are awaiting zone steward review to the committee as a whole. And then anyone and everyone can go evaluate either on their own, as a group, whatever they want to do. Multiple people can evaluate as well. And then give me those recommendations, and we can circle back in November and have just a set of service requests and have a clear path moving forward.
I think it's a great idea. We have to do that. We have to
Okay.
take care of the homeowners. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, the other thing I think that would be helpful, and we have a start on it, Paula and I have talked about it, is to actually have standards, probably a hard word, but so what should a homeowner expect in front of their house? An expectation, a standard for our community, so that you don't feel like, well, your house looks terrible, the house next door is like 10 times better. That isn't okay in a community where we all pay the same dues. So we're working to put together a standard so that you put in a request, we can provide that to you. You can see what the standard is. You can see, oh, my house, I have an issue with this. It's not at the standard, maybe more information's needed. And then I think what we're all trying to hope to do is have a little more consistency among homeowners so that no one feels like, well, they got $10,000 worth of work and I've waited since 2019 to have some weeds pulled, So that is at least a goal that we've talked about.
A couple of things that just kind of came to mind to me, and maybe I should have led off with this. I want to also recognize our management for the work that they're doing. Nicole, thank you. We could not be doing this work without you. Nicole has graciously and I think thoughtfully is planning on creating a spreadsheet and sort of a tracker of some of the homeowner requests so that we can start addressing these issues in a more thoughtful way. Thank you, Nicole. We appreciate it. And I also want to let everybody know that I do plan on recommending a board chair position before the next meeting. That was something that we just did not get to in our last round of discussions, but is top on my list of priorities.
Beautiful. Is there anything else that you guys want to address today?
Maybe the meeting time. I know there's been some discussions about pushing this meeting to later in the afternoon, into the evening. That's something that we're going to discuss to hopefully get more participation. And I'm not trying to be selfish, but
You are working.
I'm a full-time, I work full-time. It's pretty tough, but I do want to recognize that people are used to having these meetings at a certain time. I will try to meet everybody halfway.
Well, do you have, we could make a motion to change the time. Do you have a time that would work? Because you have to be here
Yeah.
and you are working. What?
5:30 would be great.
I don't know. I'll put forth a
Does that
motion
work
that the
for you?
time for the grounds committee, is that okay?
Mhm.
Be moved to 5:30. Is there I guess, is there a second? There's no chairperson.
Yes.
Okay. And all committee members, that's us too, a majority.
Small but mighty today.
I think I have to abstain, right?
Yeah,
you do.
liaison
You
can't
don't
vote.
need to
Yes.
vote. Okay, so
Both of you in
5:30.
favor?
Yeah, aye.
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you.
Well, we have to have you here, so.
Wonderful.
Well, it strikes me also that we need to think about adding members, not only to replace Jim and Teresa, but also people get sick, people travel, things like that. So.
Yeah, I think we
that's
need to
something
actually
think
put
about.
out, like expectations so people volunteering know what they're getting into,
Yeah.
right? So we're trying to think about that too. So people who volunteer for the committee, like they know that from henceforth, they're going to put out all the homeowner request, so there's, what you're getting into type thing. I think it's important. We're all volunteers. Time matters. And so we're working on that so that when you volunteer, you know what you're getting into. Huh? Well, we definitely, I don't know if this is a sign, we don't know where the other 3 members are that didn't come today. So we don't know if our committee is 2 or 5 at this point. At this point, I think we're going to move away from, we're anticipating moving away from zones and becoming more community centric. And
I think right now, nobody's assigned a zone
Yeah,
because they're
just
we're
right
missing
now.
too many right now. Everyone's everybody's zone
And
for
that way-
now.
Yeah, and that's another thing, anybody volunteering, that's just something our very large committee has discussed. So, yeah, that's why I'm thinking it's important to know what you're getting into and you want to, and that it works okay and, yeah.
The more participation, the better. I know that sounds cheesy, but
Go cheesy, Peter.
yeah, I'm gonna go cheesy. We really do want to get everybody's input. And there are some tremendously talented well-educated neighbors here, a lot of whom have background in sciences and landscaping and any number of things. And even if you have no background in landscaping or any of those things, your input matters because you know what you want this place to be and how you want it to look and how much you want it to, the things that we do to fit within a budget. And that will be a prerogative of this committee, is that we hopefully will have a better understanding of what our budget is so that we can address things that need to be addressed and make sure we're getting the best value. So thanks everybody for being here. We really appreciate it.
Can I
Look
add one
forward-
little note?
Yeah.
Just a note too. I hear a lot, which I really appreciate of, I didn't bug you. I didn't tell you about this because I know how busy you are and I didn't want to bug you. And while I really appreciate that, and I love that, if anybody ever wants my eyes on something, you go, can you just meet me at my house for 20 minutes and we can look at the landscaping, or whether it's a committee member or a homeowner, I will make the time. So just reach out to me. And if you need my eyes on something, I will be there. So just wanted to put that out there. I'm a busy woman, but I am never too busy to make time. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just one other question I wanted to ask. It's really hard to get 590 people's input, as one can imagine. But something we've tossed around is actually doing short surveys of the community. Would that be helpful? I mean, you guys are all sitting here. Would that be at all helpful if we really want to reach out and know what people are thinking? And not everybody can make a meeting. Not everybody wants to make a meeting, but they still have opinions and it still is their community. So we're going to try some different communication methods, and feel free to provide your feedback.
Feeling good? All right. That's all they wrote. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Beautiful. All right.